What's up, guys? John from Mothman Outdoors. Welcome to a very special episode. We are headed to TAC. Cameron is behind the camera. He's here. And then we got Mom in the back seat. She's going to take over the camera duties once we get down to TAC. We are headed through the southern part of our great state of West Virginia to the TAC event at the Summit Betchel Reserve. The Summit Betchel Reserve. We are... Where are we at? Paints Creek. We're right outside Paint Creek. Yeah, we'll be there shortly.
There's also a strong possibility I might walk away with a brand new boat today. We're not gonna say there's like a non-possibility, but if they have an RS, I might end up picking one up.
Probably gonna happen.
So, well, we'll see how when we get there.
What's up, guys? John. We made it to the Sitka course. It's the course that we're doing today. Cameron Doofus is down at Gas Bowstrings booth getting a new set of strings put on. They found a problem with his string, so they're gonna take care of him. I think they hooked him up and did it for free. When Cameron comes back up here, we'll check for sure. But we finally made it to the Sitka course. Based on their scorecard, it says it's 60 yards to 100 yards for the whole course. 25 targets. We're gonna start now. We got a bear target, and I think it's at 60 yards. So here's to hoping we don't miss. Alright, so Cameron got his bow fixed. He's squared away. Just so everyone knows, if you see a target, I'm white fletched, Cameron is red. We're out of breath because that was a hike and it's muddy because it rained yesterday.
Whoever designed the Sitka course, fuck you. That heel's a pain in the ass.
That's a good one. So far I'm up 2 targets to none. Cameron missed the first target because he was absent, so he sucks. Second target, we both missed the target. However, we hit the target, we missed the 10 ring. I was closer to center than he was. That's how we're basing our scores, closest to the 10 ring. However, if you hit a 12 ring circle, you automatically win. No matter if someone hits dead center of the 10. However, if you're outside the 12, outside the 10, closest to the dead center of the 10 ring wins the hole. I'm up 2 holes to none. Let's keep going. All right, guys.
Newsflash, I suck at archery.
Well, it's hard when your bowstrings were just put on today and you haven't really been able to sight in. So Cameron got new gas bowstrings put on here. The guys over at Gas found a problem with his strings. They swapped them out for him, took care of him. However, the problem is when they figured it out and they started installing the new strings, it was already 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, a little bit after. Our drawback time was 10 o'clock, so he didn't really have time to go to the practice range and really get dialed in, and no pun intended.
I'm sighting in the course.
Pretty much, and respectfully, I'm whooping his ass with it. But we'll give him that. We'll throw a grain of salt in there. I'm only as good as I am because his bow is as bad as it is today. Nothing that Cameron's doing wrong. It's just the nature of the beast sometimes. But so glad Gas Bowstrings, that company, happened to be here today. So
they hooked me up too. They did a good job.
Give him some new strings so he can even at least just come out here and shoot. But we're about halfway through right now. We're headed to the super windy. We're going to the water break station and then we're moving on.
All right. So there was a medical emergency on the course right in front of us. Let me say this before we say anything else. We're not going to get into specifics of what happened. Yes, me and Cameron were there. We did not see this injury occur to this individual.
We were just there to be able to help afterwards.
Yes. I'd say probably minutes after. We're also going to start off by saying TAC handled this probably the best they could given the severity of the situation, because I don't think this type of injury to this individual has happened before.
And the location
was
where it happened was the worst. It was at the bottom of a holler, which if you don't know, it's a valley between two mountains.
And that's usually where stuff like this will happen.
The only way to get the individual out was straight up.
Yeah. And that's usually where stuff like this happens, is the absolute worst location. Again, we're not going to go into details about what happened, so if that's what you're looking for, move on. But anyway, we'll kind of talk about how this impacted us, kind of how it set the precedence for the rest of our day, which was pretty much over as far as shooting, and rightfully so. We have no complaints about that whatsoever. To be quite honest with you, me and Cameron are also glad, and however you want to view this, God put us right there in that situation to help out.
Yep.
So we left the water station, went down the hill to the next target, which was actually quite a hike just to get to the next target. And then we saw a bunch of people and someone yelled out that the course was closed. So we're like, okay, do we know why? And no one knew. Well, so we got closer. We found out there was a medical emergency, pretty severe once we realized what was going on. And his medical training, military, mine, my law enforcement medical training, we asked if they knew if there was any medical personnel up ahead. No one knew. At about the same time, an individual from TAC, volunteer or employee, come running down mountainside and
Trying to get to the individual.
Exactly. And we asked him the same question, and he was unsure. So we looked at each other, put our stuff down, put our big boy pants on, ran forward just to try to help any way that we could.
Yep.
Because what you don't want to do is be a bystander in a situation like this and be useless.
Just be in the way.
Yeah. And, and not to make fun of anyone who doesn't know what they're doing or is, lack of better terms, afraid, because I get it. Some people don't want to be put into that situation and make a mistake because you could end up hurting someone even more.
Yep.
So we ran forward, found the individual who was with their teammates or their friends for the day. And, they were doing the best they could to comfort that individual given what had happened. So we rendered aid the best that we could. And let me take a break right here and say this. Me and Cameron talked about this in the last video, about making sure that you're prepared for going into the woods for TAC, because it's going to prepare you for hunting season. With TAC, you're normally with your friends. You're with someone that you know, and you're going to be together the whole time, and there's going to be other people not far behind. Case in point, what happened here. hunting season is very different. You could be by yourself. Me and Cameron always usually go to the woods together, but we're still about a half mile apart from where we go up into the trees. If something happens to you when you're by yourself, or even with your friends, you have to know what to do. And the reason I say this was because after we ended up getting to that individual, medical did not arrive for another 15 to 20 minutes.
Not their fault. There was no easy way to get to the
Not
individual.
at all. And you can't have roving medics unless you have enough people at these events, because if you have roving medical personnel and they're all the way at the end of one course and there's an incident all the way at the other end of the other course, that's an even further time to get to that individual who's hurt versus just having a centralized location. Something happens, now we go. And we're pretty sure that's kind of what happened here. They were at a centralized location, rightfully so. And it just had, like Cameron and I said, it was the absolute worst place for this injury to happen. But not to make, a long-winded story, me and Cameron, like you said, we arrived to the individual. We helped the best that we could, and then we ended up getting that individual to safety, to medical personnel with an ambulance, and then I believe that individual ended up being airlifted to a hospital here in Charleston. Cameron has an update, I believe, from a post on a forum of that individual.
Yeah, the individual's, one of the group members for the individual stated that the individual is in a stable...
and doing way better. Okay, all right.
Out of the clear, everything's good.
Okay.
The individual... All
right, so moving on from that, TAC handled this extremely well, in our opinion, for the best they could, because we feel like this incident was unprecedented.
Yeah.
As far as we know, this has never happened before, or at least of this severity.
And I don't think there's for this one, I don't think there's really a way to prepare.
No. Well, everything's unprecedented until it happens.
Yeah.
And medical did the best they could, getting there as fast as they could. Honestly, when, really no complaints. Because there's really nothing that you can do to... Most of these events are on ski resorts. This one happened to be at a Boy Scout retreat here in West Virginia. And also, I think TAC, Cameron, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys can also leave a comment if you know for sure. TAC suspended the event today. Today was Sunday, because we took a time out yesterday as well after we left and did not finish the video yesterday, just given what happened. Just relaxed, took a break. So we're finishing today, Sunday morning. This video will be out Sunday night. What's today? May the 18th?
I think so.
So tonight, May the 18th tonight.
Yeah, this goes back to what we were saying. We're not saying you have to get nerds to go out to the woods. But if you're spending all this time, effort, and money into archery, it's not a negative to take a little bit of extra time and money and dump that into like a first aid class.
Yeah.
Have a good first aid kit with you.
Yeah.
You never, like today, you never know when you're going to need it. You never know
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to need it. You never know when an incident could occur. And just being able to help can greatly improve the individual's level of care until EMTs or paramedics can arrive.
Better medical care could help. And I mean, there's going to be some incidences where the next level of care is a surgeon.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is just to, God forbid, keep that person calm and everything that you know what to do until that next level of care arrives and gets them to where they need to be. But like back to what I was saying, I think TAC canceled the events for today, Sunday, given what happened, to kind of take like what we would call in the military, like safety stand down, to kind of debrief what happened and figure out, okay, how can we make sure...
you can do?
Yeah. Is there something we can do? How do we make sure something like this never happens again? So kudos to TAC for doing that. If you were one of the archers going to TAC in West Virginia today, we're very sorry that happened.
Understanding this is important, though.
It's very important. And it's kind of like an out of this world event.
And you also got to understand the amount of money TAC is probably losing for this. So that's a business decision. And I'm super happy that they understood that and still took the time.
And still took the hit.
Because they could have done Monday.
Yeah.
But instead they decided to do it today.
Yeah. And we're still going to the 1 and 7th ring. Still super excited. Learned a lot about ourselves yesterday.
I'm not doing the second course ever again.
Yeah, the second course before. I felt very proud of us. getting up to like the 13th target, because there were a lot of people that were missing. Not to talk shit about you, it happens. We missed a few, but we hit more than we missed, and especially for Cameron, because his bow wasn't sighted in him, he was still hitting the targets.
I was guessing every round.
But I will say this: I know Levi Morgan had a video about, practice. It doesn't matter what bow you're shooting. It does to a point, in my opinion. If your bow is completely out of whack, I don't care what your form looks like, how many times you shoot. If you're used to it shooting 65 pounds because you thought it was on 70, and then they actually put it up to 70, and then you don't have time to go to the range to figure out exactly where you're hitting, it's going to make a difference.
You're guessing the entire time.
Yeah, and Cameron was. But we had a great time at TAC. We're super glad that we were able to be in the position
To assist
where we could. Shout out to all the other individuals that were there helping that individual. You guys all did great.
This is just a testament to the archery community.
Exactly.
No one cared.
Yep.
No one cared who the individual was,
Yep.
what was going on. It was just...
Didn't matter if it was he, she, didn't matter.
We were just there to help.
Yep. And that's what we did. We helped. So if you are that individual and you happen to see this video one day, we were glad we were able to help you. We hope that you are doing great, and we would love to see you back in the archery community. No thanks are needed. No thanks are needed. We're just glad we were able to be there. We had a super fun time.
Look for the next one.
It just happened to be... I don't know. I don't think there's any really word that you could use. But to everyone who was involved, our thoughts and prayers. Yeah,
That's it.
we'll see you guys in Seven Springs. We probably will have a video coming out this Wednesday. We're going to do a food plot update because it is sprouting massively. So we'll show you how well our green thumbs are. But fun time at TAC. Sorry about the incident, and to everyone that was involved.
Looking forward to the next one.
Looking forward to the next one.
Yep.
Later, guys.
Later.